This is the Can Crushers Wrestling Podcast.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall.
Let's go nuts! It's Jimmy Nuts! Right out of the door!
With your hosts, Mark Martinez.
Because I'm the Mark, and I'm awesome!
The Guru.
Today I'm going to break it down for all you simpleton sweat hogs listening out there in Can Crusher Nation. I don't mean to come out here week after week and toot my own horn, but toot.
And the English Professor.
It is I, the English Professor from the County of Kings, speaking the English of the Queen.
Hey, this is former WWE superstar Duke, the Dumpster Drosy, and you are listening to the Can Crushers Podcast.
This episode of Can Crushers is going to give you an extra shot of protein. Yeah, steak and eggs. At least maybe steak. Or maybe it's eggs. Or maybe it's a little bit of half and half. I'm not sure which one he is, but coming on the show today is Zander Gabriel, one half of the IWC Tag Team Champions and half of not the best friends from AEW, but the best friends from IWC, Steak and Eggs, Zander and Bulk Nasty. These two are inseparable. My God, they go everywhere together. They call other matches together. They go work out. They go eat. They even probably go to Chuck E. Cheese together when it's opened. Whatever. But again, Zander Gabriel is coming on the show, and I have a little bit of a beef with him, but I want to ask him why during his Zander Zone, Can Crushers weren't part of that game show. Either myself or the English Professor would have kicked ass. But maybe we should take on each other to find out actually who knows more. If it's a remembering game, I'm going to lose. Bad. So I better... Well, I'll ask him anyway. Guys, this Saturday, it's feature presentation at Brownsville Drive-In for IWC. Steak and Eggs will be defending their titles against Team Big League. So many questions to ask Zander. Find out everything all about Zander. Maybe we'll catch Zander and Bulk at, I don't know, a Chinese restaurant or something. But you know what we have to do first? We have to take care of what we have to take care of. And it's about collar and elbow. Guys, hats, hoodies, tees, shorts. They have stickers now again. All great apparel from Collar and Elbow. You see us always wearing it, always repping it anywhere we go. Again, I continue to say this over and over. That the Macho Man one, first of all, I look good in purple. I will say that. I look good in purple. And that Macho Man one with Head and Al Snow in it makes me... Yeah, that's what, you know what I'm talking about. Guys, promo code. That's what it's all about. Use the promo code Can Crushers. All one word, capital C in Can, capital C in Crushers. You'll get 10% off, and then you're good to go. Yeah. As the English Professor said over the weekend, pretty much paid for his shipping. He had a load come in. That's unbelievable. But let's get to the interview right after you hear from Al Snow.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
Hi, this is Bulk Nasty, and you're listening to Can Crushers Podcast. I'm not sure, just two guys cornered me, so here you go.
And welcome back to Can Crushers. I'm excited to be on the Zander Zone. Yeah, right. This guy will never have me on the Zander Zone. I was hoping during the whole pandemic it would be myself against the English professor, so Can Crusher Nation would know actually who the smarter one of Can Crushers is. But we can get into that. Guys, my guest this week is one half of the IWC Tag Team Champions and the only best friend Bulk Nasty will ever need, Zander Gabriel. Zander, welcome to Can Crushers.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm happy to be here, happy to promote our upcoming event, happy to promote my best friend, as you just said, Bulk Nasty.
But why can't we have myself against the English professor on the Zander Zone? Can we bring that back for one time?
I think we can bring that back one time. I mean, I think we could have maybe like a three-way with you, the English professor, and maybe Mr. Plumber, and whoever gets the most points goes on to win, like a triple threat. Look, I'm in favor of this.
Why do we have to have Plumber? At least give us something to look at. Can we have Mrs. Plumber? Because Justin is, well, you know what Justin is.
I know what he looks like, yeah.
You know what he looks like. So, okay, that's in the works. I'm already happy about this interview over any other interview I had in the near past. So you're a little more than a year in wrestling, and you and your best friend are tag team champions. Man, a couple weeks ago was the wrestling in Washington, where you guys were scouting Team Big League and the main event. And Bulk, I think, kind of spoke for you and said that you guys want Team Big League. Is that really who you want, Zander?
You know, I can translate what Bulk Nasty meant. Bulk Nasty would consider it a respectable and honorable challenge had we gone on to face the main event, Duke and Gannon, but he would consider it also a lot more fun if we got to just wreck Team Big League. So we had the option between, you know, a very equal challenge against the main event or just kind of a walk in the park where we could just annihilate Team Big League. And what do you know? It's going to be Team Big League now.
Yeah, this coming Saturday, you guys in Team Big League, you're both undefeated going into feature presentation. So more on that later, as we always say, but that's a little bit of a teaser, as we call it. So let's also talk about, you got to hang out with Joe Dombrowski during the Team Big League main event match. How fun was that? Because Dombrowski is a super genius.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Well, one, I was glad that Bulk got to sit down in Nick Lindell's spot. I thought that was a little bit respectable. But I'll tell you what, I was nervous going into commentary because I've heard Joe on commentary before. He has his own promotion. He's done commentary for years. He's done it for some very high up places. And one of the things, as you can probably tell right now, is I like to talk a lot. So going into commentary, I had millions of ideas of how I could present myself, of one-liners that I could say. And I was told to just, you know, keep it simple, allow Joe to handle it because he's the expert, he's the veteran. And then when I was on commentary, I very much tried to reel myself back in to not, you know, upset Bulk, because sometimes I might talk too much and aggravate Bulk Nasty. I also didn't want to step on the toes of Joe Dombrowski and commentate over his head, per se. But it was a lot of fun working with someone with that many years of experience. And then also, like I said before, my best friend, Bulk Nasty, was right there next to me the whole time.
Yeah. Commentary with your best friend, tag team champions with your best friend. I'm jealous of you. I really am. You have one hell of a career going, and you're still young into your career.
Yeah, well, it was just a year, a couple months ago. If you want to count it, even with the whole pandemic, I guess if you want to take a few months off, it's about 1 year. Yeah. Man, went fast.
Went fast. Hey, let's do the rewind that we always do here on Can Crushers. How did you find this great wrestling business? Was it mom, dad, Uncle Joe, Aunt Sylvia? Like who said, Zander, watch wrestling because it's great?
I legitimately have an Uncle Joe, actually. I'll bring more on that later, let's just say.
Okay.
When I was younger, I never watched wrestling. I had seen it on TV. I knew who The Rock was. I knew who Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ric Flair, The Undertaker, a lot of those names that are still hold a lot of weight today. My introduction to wrestling was through the video games, WCW versus Nitro, a few of the SmackDown versus Raws. But until I started watching it in 2008, I was stationed overseas. I was serving in the Navy at the time. And when you're stationed overseas, they give you the AFN, the Armed Forces Network, which includes a lot of UFC, a lot of WWE, and some other pay-per-view quality material. Because of this, I got to watch all wrestling, all the pay-per-views for free, and I got really into it. From a workout perspective, I was into a lot of the wrestlers. Cesaro really caught my eye because Cesaro was able to just lift people up with one hand. He did his neutralizer to the Big Show, to Great Khali. From a talking perspective, I really liked the Miz TV section, especially. That was one of my favorite things. That was my first introduction to what would you call it? A talk show segment on a wrestling show.
Yeah.
And then I found out that there was Roddy Piper and all these people well before him, which I really, really enjoyed too. From then on, I stuck. I kept watching it. In 2008 on, pretty hardcore. And that's when I eventually moved to Pittsburgh for college, and I found out about the IWC and everything that was here, everything that was home. Yeah.
All right, so you wrapped up a ton in a little bit, so let's do another rewind and a rewind. All right, so when you're playing video games, WCW versus Nitro, did you have favorites that you used and you're like, man, I really like this guy because, and then you fill into because, or were you just Scott Norton all the time?
I couldn't even tell you. I remember Sting because he had face paint on. I remember his character, his avatar, and everything like that. But these are such distant memories now at this point. I didn't really understand it, how it worked, everything like that. We would just have the weekly sleepover at a friend's. We would have a bunch of Nintendo 64 controllers, and that would be one of the games that we would pop on.
Wow. Yeah. So
I'm dating myself, but that's all right.
Oh, no. You want to talk about dating? They didn't have wrestling on Atari. Speaking of wrestling games, do you still continue to play them? Fire Pro Wrestling, some 2Ks. There's new wrestlings coming out in the near future that we'll talk about later down the line. But, are you still a video game nut?
I'm still a video game nut. As far as wrestling games go, I might have played WWE 2K18 was the last one. The WWE 2K, whenever they switched over to that new engine that they had, I really lost interest with it. So if it's on sale for $15, I might pick it up to do some things. I am looking forward to seeing what AEW comes out with because I know their ref. Aubrey Edwards, I think she worked in the video game industry, so I'm hoping that translates into a really rock solid game. I'm really looking forward to that.
I agree. I can't wait for AEW's. Retromania has been pushed back a couple times. I'm excited for that. And then Virtual Basement is actually going to have one that there's an opportunity, Zander, that you and Balk could get put on it because they're scooping up a lot of indie stars. So that's something that as a podcaster, as a IWC fan, as a friend, telling you maybe you should look into Virtual Basement and get your resume into them because to have somebody from IWC is great, but to have Zander and Balk, the IWC Tag Team Champions, steak and freaking eggs, yeah, that's even better.
I would like that. Yeah, I'm going to have to look into this. I don't know if they could fit an avatar of Bulk into it, but we'll do our best.
Right. He is a big man. So it's funny that, video games give you the first look at wrestling, and then, like you said, you went overseas and saw it. When you came back to the States, what was the whole, man, I'm going to get into this because The Miz, because Daniel Bryan, what was the deciding factor to say, I'm out of the military, I'm going to continue to pursue physical activity?
Yeah, what was it? Gosh, I moved here in 2012-ish, 2013-ish. Here I was in Pittsburgh, the University of Pittsburgh. That's where I did my undergrad at, luckily for free because the military paid for it. I was here for a while. I met a few friends through a WWE group, the University of Pittsburgh had a veterans group, and I would go there, and some of them were wrestling fans, and then we branched off. I met some of their fans who were Ring of Honor fans. And I had not heard of I had heard of Ring of Honor, but just from CM Punk when he did his famous pipe bomb. From there, we decided to go to a Ring of Honor show, and it was the same one that Chris LaRusso was a top prospect on. And I remember the fans booed him, they hated him, and I didn't really understand why. But I looked him up, and I found the IWC. That's when I went to a few IWC shows. So I knew about the IWC. I then started learning all about indie wrestling and everything like that. And I really just enjoyed the atmosphere of an indie show much more compared to a big WWE show. You know, it's like going to like a little punk concert versus a gigantic opera. I felt a lot more interaction at the indie wrestling show. I felt like the fans were much more knowledgeable, which you can attest to that. You know a lot more about the company and the wrestlers than you may know about WWE. And I'll mention his name, but I don't know if you want to bleep it out. But I ended up meeting Dennis Jackson, the Titan, at my gym. Yeah, the long lost big man here at IWC. I met Dennis Jackson at my gym. And at the time I had been practicing bodybuilding. I competed in bodybuilding some years ago. He was doing some of it, so we were talking about that. And then he mentioned he wrestles for IWC. And I know them. I've been to a few shows. I haven't seen yet. And he told me they had tryouts. So I decided I just kind of winged it. And now I had been training prior, of course. I had been in very good shape. So I trained a little bit before I went to the tryout. But going to the tryout, I just one day said, I guess I'll try it out and see if I like the whole wrestling thing. After I couldn't walk for a week from the tryouts, I ended up going back to class, and they taught us a bunch of things, and I stuck with it for the year. And eventually, as you can see, I moved on to become a tag team champion with my best friend, Bulk Nasty.
That's such a touching story. It really is. And how did you find... I mean, there's so many other questions about this, but how did you find that Bulk Nasty was going to be your best friend right out of training? Because, you know, when you were, you know, ring crew with the air quotes, he kind of had a run-in with you a little bit here and there, but was that just him testing the water of your friendship already?
Yeah, we hadn't been hanging out as much as we do now back in those days. One of the first shows I was at, I think it was IWC's Unbreakable, might have been Unbreakable in 2017. Bulk Nasty ended up becoming a temporary tag team champion with Chris LaRusso for that night. Now they lost the titles, and I don't believe that it's reflected on the IWC website, which, you know, I've complained about in the past, but it's water under the bridge. I think our 210-day reign, I'm not sure where we're at. We're like 220 right now. I think that more than speaks for itself. But I saw Bulk Nasty, and I said, I am very impressed by that guy. I got to figure out what he does, where he lifts, what his interests are, what's his favorite movie. It's Rocky, by the way. So is mine. And when I found that out, I was like, man, we got to be best friends. So while I was training, I would always go up and talk to Bulk Nasty, and, you know, he would playfully push me away, hold me down, take my lunch money, just lots of funny jokes. We really got along. We really connected. And as you can see in my debut match, he agreed to tag team with me, and we ended up winning. So from there, it seemed like the chemistry was there, the opportunity, the timing, and everything like that. We went forward with it.
Yeah, more on that later. Little teasers with steak and eggs the whole way through. So you're a big fan of headbands and fanny packs. Tell me how all of this came about, and you have an extremely funny story about your googly eyes that the placement is not where you actually wanted them in the first place.
Yeah, the googly eyes, the headbands. I like them. I think they're adorable. They sell real well. there's two parts to this story. So the first one, I was going to the store and I wanted to, when I was picking out what I was going to debut in, I wanted to put a mustache and googly eyes on the front of my pants, maybe a mustache in there, kind of to give the indication that my sexual organ was, the nose, and then there was a mustache and googly eyes. Luckily, I could not find the pieces of material that I wanted, and I decided against that because I thought that might have been inappropriate. So instead, I found the googly eyes and I found headbands, and I said, well, I think that would be rather funny to do. I think that would gather attention. I think this might be a good product to sell. And lo and behold, when my class, prior to Proving Grounds 8, we debuted at the Meadville Rumble. And I remember I walked out with a bag full of headbands to throw into the audience when we could still, unfortunately, interact with them. And I came out, and all the kids rushed the barricade to see what I was throwing out and giving to them. And they all loved them. They loved the headbands. They loved the googly eyes. When I left, when we were cleaning up and everything,
who wouldn't?
I still saw fans wearing the
Right.
headbands. And I think that rush of all the kids to the front, that really got me excited because I was like, oh, these people are actually interested in me, something that I thought would be funny. They want to be a part of it. And I really like that feeling of the attention, being, I don't want to say a hero, but being an unbelievable idol and icon in their eyes really brought a smile to my heart. And I decided to keep going forward, compounding on the googly eyes. I have a background. I have flags now. I have a little mini cape. And that is really the story of the headbands.
Which I was one of those kids rushing the line, and you kind of shot one over me. As a kid, meaning, now we're dating ourselves, a year back, 42, but you shot one over me. So you really didn't like the big kids running at you, is what you're saying, right? I like headbands.
Well, I feel, I mean, you can always grab, I sell them too. If you want to buy one, I'm still selling them. Of course, if you come to a show in the near future, if you let us know beforehand, I'm sure I could actually give them to Mrs. Plummer. She could sanitize them and have them ready for your pickup prior to the show.
Headband wearing for featured presentation, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't see. You can't see, but I am wearing a headband right now.
Good. I would only imagine.
Take my word.
And a fanny pack at this point then too, right?
The fanny pack. That was the other one you asked me about. The fanny pack. The idea was, and I didn't steal this from DJ Z at the time, Joaquin Wild, but I wanted to get a belt that was LEDs wrapped around me and was lighting up and would say my name. Because some of those materials are very hard to get, because making it yourself is hard, the battery power, all the technical aspects of it, I settled on getting a fanny pack and a name scroller on the front of it. When I realized that people like the fanny pack, when I realized that you can put things in fanny packs, I said, well, this is a win-win. So I kept my fanny pack around. Since I have won this IWC Tag Team Wrestling Championship, I've been carrying that around instead of the fanny pack. And I don't plan on going back to the fanny pack because I don't plan on losing the IWC Tag Team Championship anytime soon. But should the day come that I have to forfeit the title because we've just held them for too long, I will go back to wearing the fanny pack.
Yeah, that brings up a great question that I didn't think about or have written down about forfeiting the tag team championships. You're a long ways away, but if you want to be considered in the greatest tag teams with the likes of the fraternity, you have about another half a year to go. And they kind of had to give them up. And then you had the Hardys that were in IWC. And now we're looking down a little bit. You have the Regulators that, they were champs, but, they're crude. You have the Main Event that you guys, that would be formidable competition. Where on title reigns do you put your guys' self right now? You're just excelling past the frat? Is that what you think?
Well, like you said, that's still a year and a half away because I think they were 454 days around that time frame. And that's not even combined title runs. That's just one title run that they had. I believe they had it for at least 2 or 3 times. The main event, I believe we've actually surpassed the main event in a single run. That doesn't include, they had 3 runs altogether, one as locked and loaded, their prior names. I think combined wise, they have more than our 200 plus days, but in a single run, I think we're in the top 5 just by sheer numbers. Now, quality wise,
you're number 1.
I think we're in the top 3. I don't want to seem like I have a big head here. I'm not Elijah Dean, but I think we're probably in the top 3 best tag teams in IWC, especially because a lot of people doubted us. A lot of people doubted Bulk when I wanted to pick him up, which I really can't believe. You would think they would doubt me, the smaller one, but no, they didn't think Bulk would be a part.
Yeah, Bulk, when we had him on, it was prior to you guys winning the tag team championships, and he was like, well, I don't know if I'm a tag team player, I don't know this, I don't know that, and the next event he finds out that, boom, you guys are thrown together once again, now he's a tag team player. We still don't know. Some of us still don't know who is steak and who is eggs, because you're both ripped. And, the only thing is we think that you might be a little more, pale. So that's why we would think you're, a little yolky. So that you would be the eggs. Is that right?
Well, I don't want to say that I am the steak in the steak and eggs relationship. I like to think that we can fill each other's roles at any time. That's what makes us such a great tag team. But I will tell you that I feel that I'm the more beefy, muscular of the 2. Now, that's not to put down Bulk. He is my best friend, and I respect him. But if you're asking me, I think it's pretty obvious. I'm the steak. He's the eggs. He brings the sizzle. I bring the beef. And together, we are steak and eggs. Did somebody order steak and eggs? And did you? No. Nobody ordered steak and eggs here, but.
I did order steak and eggs. I just can't eat it yet today. I still can't eat steak and eggs yet. You guys are very much interchangeable. You are the modern day Midnight Express. Sweet Stan Lane could be the Power for a little bit and then fly. Bobby Eaton could fly and then be the Power. The heights were across the board the same, but you guys are the modern day Midnight Express, and that's where I put you. Is that all right?
I mean, that's a hell of a compliment, and I don't like to curse, so excuse me. But geez Louise, that's a compliment. Yeah, I'll take that absolutely. I think one of my favorite tag teams was Team Hell No, Daniel Bryan and Kane in WWE, and I like to think that you may see some parallels between the Bulk Nasty and Zander Gabriel dynamic there, and that's a little bit of my idea for what Steak and Eggs could be came from Team Hell No, but Rock and Roll Express, that's a compliment. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, everybody sees the parallel of Team Hell No. Without a doubt, that's written on the board. We were going to actually ask that in the next question, kind of dancing around tag teams, if that's where you got it from. So you answered that already. Let's take a break from IWC, though, for a minute and just talk about some stupid stuff as we like to do here. How much, and I'm not saying this is stupid, just random questions. How much wrestling do you get to watch now? Have it be, NWA before pandemic, AEW, WWE. How much time are you allotting yourself and Bulk Nasty to sit down, hold hands, and eat some popcorn and watch wrestling? Is it every night?
The holding hands as much as we can. The watching of wrestling, I was very much into NWA Power.
Loved it.
I was watching it religiously up until Jim Cornette left the show due to some controversial comments. I kind of stopped watching it after that because I didn't agree with what he said and their decisions. And then, of course, COVID happened, so they had to shut down. I, unfortunately, can never watch Ring of Honor because I don't know when that comes on. It always seems like a weird time, but I would love to watch that. WWE, I do try to catch those shows. It's usually on Hulu. I don't have cable, so I'll always watch it a day delayed. But I do listen to a few podcasts which recap it, so I'm constantly caught up. Whenever you guys do your reviews of different WWE Network shows, I'll usually watch those. or sorry, not watch, but I'll listen to your reviews. AEW, I have almost a perfect record. I have a friend who has cable, and I'll always go over there and try to watch it. So I would say I'm pretty up to date with modern wrestling. One thing I do want to do is go back and watch a little bit of older wrestling. The nice thing about working with the IWC is you have so many veterans, so many years of experience. They're constantly giving me ideas of, oh, I think you should go watch this person, a couple of matches here and there. So I constantly have a flood of recommendations coming my way. But for modern day wrestling, I could talk to you about AEW and WWE until you turn blue, if that's what you want.
Well, I actually want to talk about the old school stuff and say, how much of it have you watched? Who are some of the people that, we're going to go back in the way back? Are you watching some Cowboy Bob Orton? Are you watching some Steamboat? Or, are you watching the IWC network itself that has millions of years for only $9.99 and getting some stuff from there with CM Punk and AJ Styles and Christian and his peeps, and the list can go on and on.
Yeah, actually, I am a subscriber to the IWC network. I mean, heck, it's only $9.99, but I didn't realize that people like CM Punk were in the IWC. So I went back and watched a few of his things. CM Punk, I saw John McChesney. I didn't realize he went so far back in IWC until he recently came back about a year ago and reformed Team Big League in preparation for Steak and Eggs going up against Team Big League this Saturday. I am going back and watching a lot of the old Team Big League matches on the IWC network. Outside of IWC, I am a big fan of Ric Flair. A lot of his old things.
Right.
Rick Rude as well. You may see similarities in our mustaches.
Love it.
I'll tell you what, though. I didn't like Ric Flair when I first started watching wrestling. Now, this was 2008, and they would only ever show, like, his old top matches, but I just never really understood Ric Flair. I didn't appreciate him until I started to learn to wrestle and started to work in front of a crowd. Now, when I go back and watch Ric Flair, I'm just blown away. I'm disappointed that I couldn't see it before, and I'm not even sure how to describe it, but Ric Flair there's a reason they tell people, like, oh, you have it or you don't have it. They should really just say you have Flair or you don't have Flair. Because that guy just boggles my mind at some of the things that he does as a heel. I could go on, but Ric Flair, Rick Rude, the two R's, I guess, big fan of them for classic wrestling.
And then you brought up more current day. You brought up The Miz, which you can tell by our new intro. I'm a huge fan of The Miz because, 2-to-1 Media brought him in just to say that little line for us. And, The Miz is a great guy here on Can Crushers. But you brought up The Miz, so I can see some of The Miz in you. You like The Miz?
Yeah, I'm going to give you an exclusive opinion here. And I'm prepared for all the bottles that are going to get thrown at me, all the flames that I'll get on Twitter. But I would say The Miz is probably my favorite wrestler.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Great. I'm glad you said that. I mean, he has accomplishments. He has the achievements to back him up, but a lot of people don't consider it because he came from a different background, the real world, things like that. But he was the reason that got me pulled into WWE when he would come out and talk, when he would do his promos, just the way he would present himself. I liked him when he turned face. I liked him right now, even though he's back to being heel. When he was face recently, his whole Shane McMahon storyline, I was a big fan of that. And the Miz TV, like I said this earlier, that was one of the first introductions to a talking segment on a wrestling show that I saw. And I know there's tons more that I do know about now, but at first I said, this is the best. Like, this is what I want to watch. Ironically, I didn't want to watch the wrestling things at first, maybe not ironically, depending on your opinion of me, but I didn't want to watch all the wrestling segments at first. I wanted to watch the storylines. I wanted to watch The Miz come out and either talk trash or be made a fool by John Cena, something like that. And yeah, I've never even met the guy, but big fan of him.
I completely support everything you said right there. When he was first coming out back in the day on the Road Rules, I was one of those guys going, what is this garbage? But through the years, Kenny Rogers sitting there singing that song, through the years, he has really blossomed and developed, and this is sounding a little bit weird now, but he has been the face of WWE for publicity. Yeah, you have John Cena that comes in and comes out. You have The Rock. You have, The Undertaker in the matches and stuff. But look, anytime there's something big to do, there's going to be a SummerSlam, press conference. The Miz is there. There's going to be he is there. People love to hate him. His accomplishments are there. He's a multi-time, IC champion, US champion, heavyweight champion, tag team champion. It's for a reason. He loves his company, and he will, I hate to say it this way, will die for it and go to bat for it. That's a loyal company man, and I support him. Plus, he's goddamn good in the ring, too.
Yeah, and I think you really hit it when you said he's always there. There's something about a wrestler who is consistent in what they do. I feel I'm pretty consistent in a lot of the videos and the productions that I put out. I felt The Miz, if you give him a microphone and say, hey, go talk about pizza bagels to the audience, he could go out and entertain the crowd about pizza bagels. I think there's so much value in a wrestler who is consistent. You may not have to be the absolute best, the most charismatic. You may not even have the it factor. But if you go out and they know you're going to give them a certain level every single time, that's the person who you want to have stick around, that you want to throw a title to every now and then, because you can depend on them. Someone, I mentioned I liked Cesaro earlier. Cesaro is always going to have a fantastic match, no matter who you put him out there with. If he has no tooth, if he has a broken arm, he's still going to go out and destroy it every single time. Now, those two people resonated with me because I knew no matter what, I'm always going to be entertained by these guys.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think The Miz I don't want to say The Miz has done his thing, but I think Cesaro needs a nice, healthy, heavyweight championship run or a universal run. He's always been one of my favorites as well. I don't like him in the whole tag team.
Alumni. Hey.
IWC alumni as well, right? I don't like him in the tag team. He needs to be broken up from it for a little bit. He doesn't get that push when he's without a tag team title. That's the only thing I bitch about Cesaro.
Yep, that's fair.
But that's WWE. Let's talk about some of the AEW stuff as well going on. A couple people there. Guys, we beat this with a dead horse anytime we have anybody from IWC on. Britt and Wardlow are there. There's other people there that have crossed paths. Brian Cage has been in IWC. The list goes on and on. Just go back and listen to all the other ones. But AEW is just a different twist on wrestling. It's fresh for us 43-year-old balding fat men. Being younger than us, do you like the million super kicks and everything that we bitch about all the time?
I was listening to, I'm not sure, it was maybe like 2 or 3 of your episodes ago, and you were talking about one of the AEWs that opened up with a crazy 5 versus 5, the Dark Order versus the Young Bucks, FTR, the Elite, and you were just complaining about it like the whole time.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, it really resonated with me because I remember turning on the TV. I thought I was going to miss this week. My parents were visiting me, and I said, "Oh, guys, we don't have to do anything tonight. Why don't we just watch this wrestling?" And we opened it up, and they said, "Who are these people? I don't get what's going on." I don't enjoy for lack of a better word, the super indie approach to wrestling, where you basically have a list of moves that you want to go out and perform. Now, that's not to say that those people aren't necessary, because without the people like Johnny Patch, without someone like Spencer Slade who could suplex an elephant out of the room.
Oh my God, yeah.
Zander Gabriel wouldn't be able to go out there and portray sort of the comedy aspect of this business, because you have to have the legitimacy. You have to have the people who can do flips, and you have to have the people who can do comedy. So while I definitely think there's a place for them, I don't want to sit down and watch a 5-on-5 tag team match with people doing crazy kicks and flips back and forth. At the same time, I take as much pride as I do in my approach to comedy wrestling as I think people who want to do the super indie things do.
Right.
So long answer short, no, I don't really like the flippy things. I'm not a fan of people like Private Party, the Young Bucks. Whenever I've seen them live, I was thoroughly entertained. Whenever I watch them on TV, I tune out, to be honest with you.
Wow. I don't believe you're waving the Can Crusher Nation flag right now. This is you're gonna get people hating on you. We're gonna get emails saying how bad Zander Gabriel is all of a sudden. And guys, this is his opinions.
Let them do it. They have to go through Bulk if they want to get to me.
That's right. That's right. What are some of your favorite nerd out things? Some gadgets, some music that you like, food.
Nerd out things. I mentioned I'm a big gamer. I have all the major consoles, the Nintendo Switch, Xbox, PS5, all that jazz. Well, sorry, the PS4. I will say I think my next big gadget.
I about spit my water out.
PS5.
Yeah, I about spit my water out thinking that you were a tester already, and I didn't know that. I was like, oh, damn.
Yeah, you'll have to air this like in November or something.
Right.
But I will do a lot of gaming, mostly because right now as of filming this, I have just completed my graduate's degree in cybersecurity, which took up all of my time, an unbelievable amount of time. And I don't know what I'm going to do now with so much free time, because literally before the pandemic happened, I would be at work from 9 to 5, my day job. I would go to the gym afterwards, come home and just do homework for like 3-4 hours until I went to bed. And that was Monday through Friday. I didn't get to do a lot of things. And now that I'm graduating, I have all this free time. So I think I'm going to just go through my backlog of video games. I'm also a really big film buff. I have a minor in film, and I like going back to all the nominations for Best Picture, Best Editing, things like that. Anything that was nominated for an Oscar, I usually try to watch that in the following year. So right now I'm doing a lot of 2019 movies. And then come 2021, I'll try to do a lot of 2020 movies.
Which won't be any, because nothing has come out, but okay.
Yeah. And then 2025, I'll watch Tenet when it finally comes out in theaters. But those, I guess, are two geeky things. You asked me about gadgets.
Gadget, the PlayStations and everything kind of gets in there as well. That's good. Your main food thing. Do you like going any place special to eat with a best friend or anything?
What I'm really upset by is this year we're not going to be able to do. Well, maybe we will. Who knows? But fantasy football. One thing that I really liked was going out, obviously, to the bars with friends and watching the games. Drink a few beers responsibly, of course, and watch the football. I don't think that's going to be a thing this year, so I'm really upset by that. As far as particular food or particular locations, I don't have any particular favorite restaurants. I will say in Oakland, in Pittsburgh, where the University of Pittsburgh is, there is a chicken restaurant called Chicken, CHIKN. It's abbreviated. That's like their slang for it. They make a fantastic fried chicken sandwich. I think they're a chain, but I used to go there all the time and always get a fried chicken sandwich. Super hot, the Nashville hot, whatever it may be. So I like a hot fried chicken sandwich. I'll say that.
Nice.
I would say I'm a burger connoisseur. I have a very, as someone you would call a beer snob, I would be a burger snob. I'm usually very particular. Now, I will eat almost anything that you want to put on my burger. Good toppings can save a bad burger, but a good burger can't save bad toppings.
All right, then I didn't know.
My philosophy.
I didn't know this. So, what is the best burger in Pittsburgh then? So maybe I have not tried it. Maybe I need to know when I come down this coming Saturday where to swing through if they're open.
Yeah, there are a couple spots. You know what? I should find one in Brownsville and just advertise that and forget about Team Big League. Just talk about the burgers there. But I used to live in the south side of downtown Pittsburgh, and there's a few places that I really liked. It's called 12 Whiskey Bar, and they're known for barbecue things. They have a very good burger. There is a place called Over the Bar, which is it's like a bicyclist bar, I guess. They appeal to that crowd. And they have, it's like the Elvis, I think they call it. It's peanut butter wrapped in bacon, and then it's banana slices wrapped in bacon with peanut butter on the burger patty.
That sounds delicious.
Which I'm a big fan of.
That sounds delicious.
And like I said, it is delicious. You would be it's a tiny little bar. They also play Monday Night Raw, which I used to go there for that, and then I found out about their burgers, and I was like, oh, well, this is a win-win.
Right.
There's a place right downtown. There's a Braddock Theater where they'll have musicals, things like that, plays. They also have a hotel, and then they have their bar, the Braddock. They have a very good burger. When I had a red beard, I used to go downtown. There's a place called Red Beards. So I used to always go there and make a joke and say, oh, do I get free food? And they would say, no, stop asking. But they have very good burgers as well. I have to think about it. There's in Pittsburgh, it won't happen this year, unfortunately, but they have a yearly event called the Pitts Burger, where they have a bunch of places come and they try to compete for the best burger. You pay a flat fee. You can go in there and you can try a quarter slice of every single person that's competing. Man, that's really sad. I wish I didn't bring that up because I'm upset you're not going to have it this year.
That really is sad. I would have come to that. Damn it. All right. Back on wrestling, because now I'm hungry and sad and going to cry. I really am. What are your goals in the next 5 years? And clearly you can't say AEW and WWE. We know that. But what do you want to work on over the next 5 years to get you there?
My wrestling, which I realize that's not a joke answer.
No shit. No. Sorry. Go ahead.
Obviously, I want to improve my wrestling capability. I said this in the first night of training. We went around in a circle and said, hey, what do you want to do? Why do you want to be a wrestler? And it was Mr. Plummer and one of our trainers was there. And I remember telling them, I said, I don't know if I hate to even say this because people are going to doubt me now, but I said, I don't know if I want to be a wrestler long term, but I would like to one day own my own wrestling promotion. In 5 years, I would like to own the IWC from Mr. and Mrs. Plummer.
Wow.
That would be my ultimate goal.
That is awesome. That could happen. Yeah, I'm not pulling punches here at all. That could happen. The kids are getting older. Jenny's getting bored with Justin. Do we have to get rid of him? Just way to sell this off. No, I'm kidding completely. But that could happen with the realistic of owning IWC. I would wholeheartedly continue to support IWC because Zander, I think you would take the reins and run with it. I'm proud of you for that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'll mention too, it may be one of your questions here, but I know you brought it up with Elijah Dean. You brought it up with Johnny Patch, the Super Indie champion. You always ask about ring crew. What is it like to train with IWC? And Johnny Patch always was falling asleep because he had to work, 72 hours prior, then a ring crew. Elijah Dean would, I don't know, be looking at himself in the mirror and wouldn't be doing ring crew, whatever he does. One thing that I really felt about training that a lot of people disagree with, I loved ring crew. I absolutely loved it. I will still help out at shows. If you watch the shows, you'll see me maybe setting up the ring if you're lucky or something like that. But I liked the aspect of putting on an indie wrestling show, and it is our responsibility to make sure the show goes on. So rather than having somebody who your sole job is ring crew, your sole job is announcing, your sole job is wrestling, I like that I'm able to go around and help out with sound setup if they need me to. I like that I can help set up the ring, teach the people who are training, here's how you set up a ring, things like that. I like the idea of being responsible for what the fans are going to see at the end of the day. I feel I'm also pretty educated, so I think I would do good at running a wrestling promotion, but obviously I can't just walk in and say, hey, give me the keys, here's some money. I wanted to enter in and do the wrestling portion and actually learn about the business from the ground up. And yeah, I really appreciate you saying that. I would like to, if not IWC, another wrestling promotion, maybe Prospect Pro Wrestling. I could probably buy it from them. Who knows?
Yeah.
5 years is a while.
5 years is a long time, but 5 years comes quick. It really does. I love how you're just taking my questions away from me. By the time I get to interview like A1 or Paris Sahara, they're just going to be like, okay, this is what I'm going to answer. 15 minutes over, get to the stupid silly questions, and then we're done. So it just proves that you guys actually listen to Can Crushers, and I love it. That's actually means a lot to me that you know where I'm going next all the time. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good show. So
nice. Also, one that a big fan of mine to ask you guys: what advice do you give the little Zanders that want to get into the business? Everybody tells them something different. What are you telling them?
I didn't become a wrestler till was I 29? Yeah, I was 29 when I became a wrestler. I waited a while. My advice would be to get in shape. I can't tell you how many times I've walked in and somebody doing a tryout and they can't do 50, 20 push-ups. They can't do 50 squats, things like that, which, maybe your average person is not going to be able to do that. But if you're trying to be a wrestler, you should come in 100% ready to be a wrestler and be the part of staying in shape. Maybe you don't look like $1 million, but if you can move like $1 million, you can eventually look like $1 million. I don't know if that's going to be a saying. That was pretty good, but make sure you're in shape. I would say even practice cutting promos. To be honest with you, I don't like calling them promos, only because I don't want to refer to somebody else who is threatening me saying, hey, I'm going to beat you at our next event. I don't like to call that a promo because that is literally what I think I'm doing. I'm not promoting something. I'm telling you the truth. I think steak and eggs are going to be victorious forever. But practice talking, practice doing your push-ups, your squats, your sit-ups, your cardio, everything like that, and save up your money because, man, Mr. Plumber, he charges. So
29, not really as old as DDP getting into the business, so you're okay. You're still ahead of the game, and
yeah,
you look phenomenal.
Thank you.
Dream match. This is the way that we end this, and then we talk about the next event. Dream match. Who are you going to wrestle? Where's it going to be? And what stipulation?
Okay. It would be a tag match with me and Bulk Nasty.
Clearly.
Because I don't want to wrestle without Bulk Nasty by my side ever if I don't have to. By dream match, I teased it earlier on, but it would be me and Bulk Nasty versus... Let's go dream match first. I think there's a possibility that we could have another match. But dream match would be us, Steak and Eggs, Bulk Nasty, Zander Gabriel, tag team champions for 220 days by now, up against Team Hell No, Daniel Bryan and Kane. Where would it be? This is a dream question, correct?
This is a dream question.
Anywhere?
Anywhere, yes.
Oh, man, probably like at the top of a really tall building. It would be out in the open. I would get sunburn from it, of course, but it would be worth it because it'd be Team Hell No against Steak and Eggs. Stipulation?
Inferno match.
Yeah, all right. I'll take an Inferno match. Heck, why not?
If you're getting
you're not
sunburned.
Want to jump out because that sounds dangerous. Let's do it. That's my dream match. An Inferno match at the top of a tall building. Team Hell No versus Steak and Eggs.
Yeah, if you're getting sunburned already, you might as well have the heat coming off of the massive flames engulfing the ring. Yes, it's the way it's got to be.
That's the tag match. I guess if I had to do a singles match, I would love to wrestle Chris Jericho. I think he's the all-around greatest of all time in terms of how he handles himself, in terms of his presentation, in terms of his wrestling, in terms of his speaking capability. Singles match, you can make it any stipulation you want, but it would be the before and after where I could actually talk to him and pick his brain that I would really care about. So if I go out there and just get squashed by him, I would still come out learning a million things. So any stipulation you want for that.
Nice. So if you had to start your new ZWX or I don't know, Zander Wrestling Promotion, ZWP, we'll go with that. And you had to choose a 40-year-old to start your organization, are you taking AJ Styles or, I know the answer to this, or are you taking Jericho?
I think Jericho is like 50 now. Is that correct? I don't know.
Wow. Yeah. I meant like the over 40s because AJ's just over 40, so I kind of had to loop it over 40. But AJ can move better yet, do you think? Or do you think Jericho still has it?
I'm going to take Jericho.
I would too. Too.
Not by a huge margin, but a slim one, but I would take Jericho.
I would too. All right. This coming Saturday, August 29th, 1 p.m. start time, Brownsville Drive-In. It will be the undefeated Steak and Eggs taking on the undefeated Team Big League in what IWC is calling feature presentation. I get the pun, Plumber. Great. It's hilarious. This has been an event that, Xander, we've talked about on the podcast for a while. No disrespect to the regulators, main event, anybody else. We kind of saw this coming from a mile away because Team Big League, as underhanded as they are right on your cusp right now. They are there. They're digging. They got the dime piece. You need to get something else because the dime piece is going to be lurking around. And I say that nicely because, wow, the dime piece. What's going on this Saturday? This is your time to cut one of those air quotes promos and let's go.
You mentioned it already. We are undefeated. Steak and Eggs are undefeated. We are 10-0. That includes our Battle Royale win at the Pittsburgh Pro Wrestling Classic. Team Big League, I've wrestled Zach Nystrom before, and Bulk Nasty and I beat them. And then Zach Nystrom was so upset, he went and took it out on Spencer Slade, and now he's in Team Big League. But I'll tell you this, last year, John McChesney returned to the IWC, and I knew he was returning for a reason. He was returning to reform Team Big League. He was scouting. He was going around. He was wrestling people to try to figure out who should join Team Big League. And if you recall, he wrestled Bulk Nasty, and somehow he pulled out a victory. Somehow he snuck in a few super kicks, a few too many, and he put Bulk Nasty down. And then for a few months, John McChesney didn't wrestle. What I imagine happened was John McChesney was reaching out to Bulk Nasty, begging him to join Team Big League, but Bulk Nasty's too smart. He said, no, I don't need your help. You're old. You're washed up. Team Big League is a joke. And he turned them down, and now Bulk Nasty's a tag team champion. John McChesney decided to go ahead and move on, and he went and wrestled Zachary Nystrom. He went and wrestled Elijah Dean, beat both of those guys handily, not even trying. And then he recruited those two. He tried to recruit some other people, but they all said no because they looked at him and said, Team Big League is a joke. You couldn't get Bulk Nasty. You can't get me. All you can get is a washed-up Elijah Dean. All you can get is a little tiny freckled, acne-filled Zach Nystrom. And now he has this undefeated tag team that he thinks he can walk into feature presentation and walk out with tag team championship gold. It's not going to happen. We're not 10-0 by accident. We're not 10-0 because we have a beautiful blonde lady helping us do low blows. We're 10-0 because Bulk Nasty is a freaking bear who is hungry, and he's hungry for shrimp and tartar sauce, which is now the name for Team Big League. So Steak and Eggs versus shrimp and tartar sauce this Saturday at 1 p.m. feature presentation. It's going to be a great match. Bulk Nasty is going to be full after it because his belly is going to be full of shrimp and tartar sauce. And that's how it's going to end.
Shrimp and tartar sauce. I love it. I really do. But I asked about Dime Piece. I mean, she could be somebody that, causes a little distraction. It's not going to be you and Bulk because you guys are laser focused. You have CJ or you have Potter or you have, a list of other officials that catches this blonde bombshell on the outside. Who knows what could happen because they haven't been around a woman in a while.
That was a very good backhanded insult. I like that. I don't think Dime Piece is going to be a factor in our match. I only have eyes for Bulk Nasty, and Bulk Nasty is hungry. He's not, the other word, horny. He's hungry. He wants to go in there and eat. He doesn't want to go in there and, well, I think you know what I'm going to say. He's not interested in the Dime Piece. I'm not interested in the Dime Piece. I'm only interested in our IWC Tag Team Wrestling Championships.
And what about one other question? What about Big League John McChesney? Has been nowhere around. What if he decides to make an appearance finally and actually support Shrimp and Tartar Sauce, because he hasn't been seen since prior to pandemic?
Well, before I answer rudely, I do understand that John McChesney is taking care of some personal business, which is great. But you have to remember, Steak and Eggs, our business is being tag team champions. So we are going in there, and as much personal business as John McChesney needs to handle outside of the IWC, Steak and Eggs need to handle personal business in IWC, and that's exactly what we're going to do. You can get 25 dime pieces out there. It doesn't matter. We're still going to pull this off. And we're going to be 11-0 on Sunday the 30th. Undefeated tag team champions, Steak and Eggs. It's delicious. There's a lot of merchandise you can buy. I advise you to buy it in advance because we're going to win.
You also, real quick, I'll let you go then. You also have merchandise available that you can buy through Facebook, and aren't you on Pro Wrestling Tees as well? And what else? What other social medias are you on?
I'm on the big three. I'm on Facebook as Zander Gabriel, Instagram as Zander_Gabriel, and I'm on Twitter. You can look up Zander Gabriel. My actual @ is Breaker of Games, which, yes, that is a Game of Thrones pun. If you want, you can support Steak and Eggs. You can head on over to the Zander Gabriel Pro Wrestling T-shirt. There are both nasty shirts there because I'm his best friend and I want to make him money. And there are some Zander Gabriel shirts there if you like me too.
Everybody love you, Zander, and we love you and Steak and Eggs, and hopefully we can sit down for a plate one of these days. You, Balk, myself, the English professor, and have some Steak and Eggs as you two are holding those IWC Heavyweight Championships following feature presentation.
I think that can happen pretty easily because we're not going to drop them. So,
all right, buddy, we'll let you head to the gym, and we'll see you this Saturday, front row.
All right, looking forward to it. Make sure you wear sunscreen. I know I will.
Nice PSA there from Zander Gabriel. Wear sunscreen. Guys, I look at the weather forecast. As of right now, recording, we're Wednesday afternoon, and it looks like it possibly might rain, scattered showers or whatever. Who cares? Still put sunscreen on because it's just going to be hot. It still will be hot. If it's raining, the sunscreen will help repel the rain as well. I don't know how that works. Don't listen to anything I just said there because that's all nonsense. Steak and Eggs, Team Big League, this Saturday in Brownsville. Unbelievable. You got to hear Zander got his wrestling knowledge from video games. He did see it, but you heard him say he got everything from video games. Stinger, huh? I love how much him and Balk are hanging out. I was really questioning it because Balk has said, on his social medias and that Zander's a fibber, but nope. Zander confirmed it. That they're hanging out. They're doing a lot of stuff. They're holding hands watching movies. Did you hear that? Rewind all the way back, and you'll hear that they hold hands and watch movies. That's awesome. Good for Steak and Eggs. This is a true tag team. They really are great. And then he calls out Team Big League. Shrimp and Tartar Sauce. I don't know what to say about that. I kind of have to keep it on the DL because I might need them to come on the show sometime. I really do. But I think a little bit that Zander, and I'd like to know from Balk right now, I think they're underplaying Dime Piece a little bit. I would really have somebody out there to keep her eye. Keep her eye, keep their eye. Yeah, you know how it works. Guys, this is going to be a great card. It really is. First of all, I want to thank Zander for coming on the show. Guys, follow him on all his social medias. He does a great job. Go back on the IWC network for only $9.99 a month and watch the Zander Zones. You'll see everybody in IWC competing. Great Jeopardy type of game show that Zander was running. You have Jack Pollock against Vegas for the IWC Heavyweight Championship. Yeah, that's going to be pretty brutal. You have Raylan taking on Danny Moe. You have Steak and Eggs taking on Team Big League. Guys, head over to IWCWrestling.com. Check out this lineup. It is unbelievable. Feature presentation. It starts at 1 o'clock. Brownsville Drive-In this coming Saturday. You know we'll be there. You know we'll do our recap. So, until then, just remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot.